My name is Matthew Williams, and my background is actually in theology. I was a pastor for about 10 years, and then I was a juvenile probation and youth advocate for about 3.5 before I got a little bit burned out. Long story short, though, I became very sick, and we couldn't find an answer. I've had multiple spinal taps, MRIs, x-rays. They couldn't tell me what was going on. My wife and I, we were on vacation in Colorado visiting her family, and my wife, who was in law enforcement for about 13 years at the time, maybe 14, she says, "Hey baby, go in and give some cannabis a try." And so I went in, I bought my first legal gram. Now I smoked in college, but there's a big difference from smoking to get stoned and smoking when you hurt. So I go in, I get my first legal gram, and wait till everyone crashes that night. We're back at Grandma and Grandpa's and standing on the back porch, load the little one hitter, and I took a hit. And within 30 seconds, tears are rolling out of my eyes because it was the first time I'd had any pain relief in 6-7 months at that time. Over the course of the 2 weeks we were there in Colorado, it had made such an impact, not just in my health, but on my family and the dynamic of our family, that when we got home, my wife and I looked at each other and we said, "We've got to move." And so we sold everything we had and we moved to Colorado. There I ended up in the industry, and so I ended up working in multiple industries. But what we found, and Chip actually touched on this a little bit, is not only did it help with the pain that I was experiencing, we started watching my blood sugar levels lower. I was a type 2 diabetic, and I was not a man that would fit in these clothes a few years back. I was over 300 pounds, and my blood sugars were running on the low end 200 with close to, well, let's just say I was doing several thousands of milligrams of metformin and a few more pills just to deal with the neuropathy. We ended up finding that now my blood sugar was lowering, and honestly I was able to get off of all of my medication. Now my A1C is a 5, so that means that I'm not even the pre-diabetic range. It is a phenomenal thing to be able to say that I don't have to take any medication and that I can actually, live a life without that. But more than anything, what cannabis gave me was a new life. It gave me the ability to be the husband I want to be. It gave me the ability to be the father I want to be. And over the course of about, 3, 4, 5 years in Colorado, I have had the experience of managing multiple dispensaries. And so I was able to have a lot of one-on-one with customers and clients. What I found that was wonderful is I've seen stories from mothers who were hauling in from Texas. This one mother, and this one really impacted me. It was one of the first stories or first experiences that really changed the way I thought about the cannabis industry. This mom comes in, and look out my window of the dispensary, and I see that she's driving a mid-sized sedan. She has a luggage rack. The car's packed inside. She's pulling the biggest little U-Haul she could pull with that sedan. She comes running into my dispensary, and she goes, "I have epilepsy. I need something now." And so she comes in, and I quickly sell her a 1-to-1 sublingual and send her back out the door. Didn't think much of it. A month later, she comes up and she comes back in and makes another purchase, and she says, "Do you have a minute? I want to introduce you to someone." So I walked out to her car with her, and she introduced me to her baby girl, who the tincture was actually for. She goes, "My baby went from having 6+ seizures a day to she hasn't had that many all month. Thank you." And that is what really, more than my own health, that's what changed my mind of what this industry means. And of course, over the course of several years, I've had experience after experience. I've worked with other people who are diabetics who have been able to get off of their medication. My last experience, though, and that's what I'm just going to leave you with, is a really beautiful experience. We My wife and I decided a year ago in January, February of last year that we need to get back to the South, back to home. We went to our favorite diner before we rolled out in Trinidad, Colorado, called Tony's, and grabbed some breakfast food for dinner. And a gentleman comes up and he throws his arms around me. He's about 65, and he says, and he has tears just rolling out of his eyes, and he says, "Thank you. My stage 4 cancer is gone, and it's because of what you do." And he was one of my regular customers. And what I want to leave you with is a thought that most of us here are either patients or we're involved in the business in one form or fashion. Remember that the end consumer is a patient. The end consumer is needing something in their life. Whether that's a psychological help, whether it's physical, whether they're trying to battle cancer or diabetes, whatever it is, the end consumer. And if you keep your minds on that end consumer, your businesses will succeed. Numbers are important, but they're never as important as the lives that you can touch.